Bonjour and Benny-vous. Je m'appelle Ryan Mckern. Les Wicked Webs We Weave podcast. Thank you very much, children of the night, for joining me once again. As always, I am your host, Ryan Mckern. Tonight's tale brings us back to Royal Street in New Orleans. For stories abound, foretold. The Court of Two Sisters on Royal Street is legendary for elegance and charm. The open-air courtyard and decadent restaurant is known worldwide for a live jazz brunch and romantic Creole dinners. Many assume the ghosts who haunt this property are the two sisters who once ran a shop here more than 100 years ago. However, there is more paranormal activity to this restaurant on Royal Street than meets the eye. As the rumored location of pirate duels and Marie Laveau's voodoo, the property has a storied past. Also the death of a bride, and most recently, the building is where an unsolved murder took place, followed by the prime suspect's mysterious death. Tonight in the Wicked Webs We Weave, we go inside the Court of Two Sisters, discover its history and haunted past. Now, sit back and dwell in the proverbial darkness, and thank you for joining me in the Wicked Webs We Weave. Said the gates at 613 Royal Street entrance are said to be ablaze with magic, given to the building by Queen Isabella II of Spain. Rumor has it fairies, elementals, and spirits and sprites can be seen dancing around the courtyard. The wishing well standing in the courtyard is called the Devil's Wishing Well, under the belief that Marie Laveau practiced voodoo there. Another legend claims that pirate Jean Lafitte killed 3 men in 3 separate duels in one night in the courtyard. Now we venture into the past to learn more about the Court of Two Sisters. Since at least 1726, the property where the Court of Two Sisters restaurant is now located has been a significant cultural presence in New Orleans. During that year, Sieur Etienne de Pierry, the second French royal governor of Colonia in Louisiana, became the original resident of 613 Rue Royale, originally known as Governor's Row. The 600 block of Royal Street was home to 5 governors, 2 state Supreme Court justices, and 1 future Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, Mr. Edward Douglas White. Zachary Taylor, who later became the 12th President of the U.S., also resided for a time at 621 Royal Street. It has also been rumored that the outrageous Marc de Vaudreuil, another early French governor, and the one responsible for transforming New Orleans from a marshland village into Petit Paris, was once a resident of 613 Royale. He was so aristocratic and theatrical that he was known as the Grand Marquis. The second-floor dining room at the Court of Two Sisters is now called the Grand Marquis Room in his honor. Visiting the Grand Marquis Room myself for Mardi Gras for a party, aside from its stunning architecture and beautiful layout, vintage, antique, door frames, windows, you can feel the spirits inside. The present structure at 613 to 615 Royal was constructed in 1832 during the city's first major economic boom. It was built for Jean-Baptiste Zenon Cavalier, president of the Bank of New Orleans. He and his wife Louise and their 5 children lived upstairs in the building that was built in the French townhouse style. He and his brother operated stores at 613 Royal and 2 doors away at 631 Royal. The Court of Two Sisters building passed out of the hands of the Cavalier family since 1854. The property changed hands twice before 1886. when Emily Engar purchased the building and the street-level store at 613 Royal. This is when Bertha, who was married to Emily's son, Bendelmiro Engar, and Emma Camor set up their rabbi, or notion shop they called, the shop of the two sisters. Two sisters were born in 1858 and 1860 respectively. Belonged to a proud and aristocratic Creole family. It was for these sisters that the court was named. Their shop outfitted many of the city's finest women with Mardi Gras costumes, formal gowns of the gay 90s, lace and perfumes imported from Paris. It's said that occasionally the sisters would serve tea and cakes to their favorite customers in the large courtyard, beginning the tradition continued today. In 1904, after Bertha's husband died, the property was passed on to his sister's children. Shortly after, Emma and Bertha found it necessary to close their shop, unable to sustain their business at a time when the French Quarter was rapidly losing its Creole population in the wake of a flood of Italian immigration. However, marriage, reversals, a fortune, widowhood, nothing could separate the sisters. Indeed, as the Picayune was to report, the sisters died within 2 months of each other in the winter of 1944. United in death as in life, the sisters lie side by side at St. Louis Cemetery No. 3 on Esplanade Avenue. The famed family who currently operates the restaurant had the sisters' tomb restored in 1990. During the next 3 decades, the property at 613 Royal passed through 7 ownerships between 1925 and 1934. The sale value of the Court of Two Sisters declined from $39,000 to $14,000. There are no specific records, but the sisters' once elegant notion shop is said to have been, at various times, a small bistro, a refreshment stand, and briefly a speakeasy. Regardless, the location seems to have been a place for refreshments or a restaurant since the late 1920s. Perhaps it first reached great popularity under the direction of the late Jimmy Cooper, who owned it from just before until just after World War II, 1940 to 1956. Cooper developed a lively tourist trade, enhanced by the flow of servicemen and women from all over the world, when New Orleans was a major shipbuilding and embarkation center. In 1963, the late Mr. Joe Fain, Jr., an established local restaurateur, acquired the restaurant and immediately began steps to preserve the building's historical integrity. Mr. Fain's son, Joe III, and the late Jerry Fain continued with their father's dedication to the Court of Two Sisters, and now their children, the third generation, are directing the day-to-day operations and maintaining the legacy of the property's history and reputation. With the famed family enterprise and expertise, the Court of Two Sisters has become known worldwide for its live jazz brunch, romantic Creole dinners, friendly service, and beautiful open-air courtyard. In 2013, the famed family celebrated 50 years at the Court of Two Sisters and look forward to many more. The flags displayed in front entrance of the Court of Two Sisters are 3 of the 10 sovereign flags that have flown over Louisiana. The flags represent France, Spain, and the United States. The painting in the carriageway and on the cover of our dinner menu is by famous Louisiana artist Clarence Millet, 1897 to 1959, and was painted circa 1930s. A postcard of the painting is for sale at the cashier's stand. sisters still reside in the building. Many guests claim to have the strange sensation of being watched while enjoying a meal. Bottles and glasses have been known to vibrate at random. Some chalk it up to the two sisters, while others blame a ghost of a newlywed woman who was found dead on the second story of the building in 1940s. According to accounts from employees, certain spots in the Court of Two Sisters carry an eerie presence. Some may say they have never seen apparitions of the ghost while working, but as they could feel a presence of someone watching over them. Paranormal activity would even occur while guests were enjoying a meal. Unexplained noises and movement occurred daily at the Court of Two Sisters, according to employees. However, it was difficult to discern if the ghost was the culprit of the sounds or simply an aging building falling apart. Aside from dining room tables and bottles shaking, the Court of Two Sisters staff will conduct a Flaming Banana Foster's dessert demonstration on a side table for their guests. If a patron orders the dessert, waiters will prepare the dish tableside and mix the ingredients over an open flame. Say it was extremely common for the cinnamon dish to tip over on its own during these demonstrations. With their eyes on the flame, patrons would assume the employee had accidentally knocked the dish over, but the staff knew otherwise. Whatever paranormal activity that existed on the property would flare up with the presence of spice. With connections, spiritual activity, and cinnamon. In spices, ancient Egypt and China, cinnamon sticks were bundled together and hung in the belief that it kept homes and temples free of evil spirits. Others might argue that the cinnamon spills are simply the work of legendary courtyard fairies. Superstition says fairies are attracted to nutmeg, cinnamon, and brown sugar. If that's true, the Bananas Foster recipe would indeed be the jackpot for the tricksters of fairy. For decades, tourists and patrons have claimed to see apparitions of the Two Sisters, the restaurant gets its name from. In 1886, Emma and Bertha Camors opened the shop, Two Sisters, on the property. Some claim to see a pair of two older women sitting in the courtyard together late at night. Legend has it that they leave feelings of happiness in their wake. Just 10 years after the sisters passed, the Court of Two Sisters was surrounded by scandal and death. The bizarre events on the property during the 1950s would have been wildly upsetting to the Two Sisters. According to the Two Sisters website, the property passed through 7 ownerships over the next 3 decades. The property value took a nosedive, declining from $39,000 to $14,000. The owner of James Cooper, when he divorced his first wife and remarried, his new bride was a beautiful young television singer and actress, Amelie Diddy Woolfolk Cooper. Diddy was a New Orleans socialite. The honeymoon didn't last long. Less than a year after they wed, Diddy was living in a separate apartment above the Court of Two Sisters. Though it was strange, Diddy and Cooper continued to spend time together. She reportedly went to a football game with him one night, and the next day she was found dead, according to a 1956 Times article. The beaten body of Miss Cooper, clad in a blue negligee, was found on a blood-stained bed in the apartment. A gaping wound made by a blunt instrument was on her right forehead, and her throat bore numerous evidence of strangulation. No one was arrested in the case until a mysterious woman in blue supplied evidence to the grand jury nearly 6 months after the murder, according to a Knoxville Journal article. In 1954, the prosecution accused Cooper of strangling Diddy because she would not get back together with him and wanted separation allowance. Newspapers described the trial as one of the most sensational in modern New Orleans history. An all-male jury found Cooper innocent in 28 minutes. Newspapers reported Cooper threw a large party at the Court of Two Sisters to celebrate the verdict. The case is still cold to this day. In a bizarre twist, 2 years after Cooper's acquittal for his wife's murder, his body was discovered strangled to death in his apartment above the restaurant. What happened to him remains a mystery. A 1956 Daily World article reported the coroners made a verdict of natural death due to a mysterious allergy which caused swelling in the windpipe and prevented Cooper from breathing. Modern forensics might have shed more light on the cause of his death. It's only natural to wonder if a paranormal force was at play, seeking vengeance for his past crimes. Perhaps it was just a peanut allergy, but we will never know. Despite the Cooper family scandal less than 7 years ago, no one seems to remember the Court of Two Sisters for anything other than a pleasant New Orleans meal in an exquisite setting. The ghosts of the sisters are surely pleased that their business has maintained its pristine reputation. So I do encourage everyone to visit the Court of Two Sisters for brunch or a meal, evening dinner. Be sure to visit the wishing well. Be sure to keep an eye out for a pair of ladies watching the tables from a distance. They aim to please, which is why the Court of Two Sisters is known as one of the best restaurants in New Orleans today. I would like to thank GhostCityTours.com, CourtOfTwoSisters.com, and research in making this episode possible. And just as that is a flame to another banana dessert, we are off to time. Thank you again for joining me in the darkness, my friends. And until I see you at another location and another episode, au revoir.